In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this custom L-shaped Ikea desk utilizing simple hand tools, and you can make it totally custom for your space and your needs. And that's because this is made out of EMT conduit and maker pipe connectors, which are two materials, if you're unfamiliar with, that are really easy to use and really easy to work with for custom projects. EMT conduit is something you can get off the shelf at different hardware and home improvement stores. You can cut it and bend it with handheld tools. And then maker pipe connectors are something that we manufacture in upstate South Carolina, and they're just pieces of hardware that allow you to join and connect pieces of conduit together in all sorts of different ways, and you just need a 5mm hex wrench to do that. And Bradley used those two materials to make this custom L-shaped desk, and it's a fantastic desk, so I wanted to do this build breakdown and kind of talk about it. And because the EMT conduit is really easy to customize and cut down to size for different spaces and different needs, I'm not going to go over the dimensions and things, because you can customize this desk and pretty much make whatever dimensions that you need. And if you need to make it bigger than this, then you might need to modify a little bit to add bracing. But if you're making it smaller than this or making this exact same one, then you can kind of keep this design the same with the connectors. So we're just going to go through and break this down. And Bradley shared this kind of SketchUp model of the desk, which is fantastic because we can go through here and kind of see where connectors need to go, and I can show you which connectors to use in this kind of a situation. What's really cool about this is kind of what I recommend when planning projects, and we have a full masterclass episode, which was a part of a full series that we were doing for going through projects is from start to finish. And when I usually recommend planning a project, I recommend to draw it out, sketch it out on paper or model it, and then kind of figure out where connections need to go, and then kind of reverse engineer that and figure out connections based on how many pieces of conduit are being joined in one spot. And so this is a really great example of that, because you can see here there's no connections in this sketch, but if you kind of go through the website and break this down, then you can see which connections need to go where, or I'm going to do that for you here in this video. So this is really cool. Essentially, we can see here that he's got this piece of conduit that is connecting here to the verticals, and it's going to terminate inside of the maker pipe T connector here, because the T connector joins two pieces of conduit together, and it's actually the same connection down here, and it's going to be the same on the other side as well for all four of these, and actually the two pieces that are coming in and grabbing on to this horizontal bar. And that's something I mentioned in that planning episode, is that you'll likely find one connection, and then as you investigate your sketch even more, you'll see that that connector is used a bunch more times. And we'll actually see that here, because there's more T connectors grabbing on there. I think that's going to be a 90 back there. So that's a T, that's a T, this will be a T, this will also be a T, this will be a T. And I think that might be it for T's. Actually, there's one, and then these two back here. So that's a really interesting design choice, where he did two verticals in the back, kind of side by side. And you could just use one vertical back there and then just replace those two T's with 90s. But he did two side by side, maybe just for extra strength, which is pretty smart. But we can see here, essentially, if we go back to the very beginning, we've got the verticals here, go down. My lines are pretty rough when I draw them fast like this, but you can see those verticals go between those four T's. We can see these horizontal pieces over here between these two verticals and four T's, just like that. And then we can see these long pieces of conduit that extend from one side of the desk all the way to the other there. And then again, same exact thing, just mirrored on this side, going there to those two T's. And then we've got four verticals here in the back. We got that one back there, that one back there, and then those two. We've covered a lot of the connectors so far, except there's going to be a 90-degree connector which joins three pieces of conduit together, and that's a really common one that you'll see for desks and for cubes and different things like that. And you could use, I think he either has a T connector there because it's just a two-dimensional rectangle, which I think, actually no, that would be a three-dimensional rectangle. So that's going to be a 90-degree connector in that corner, and then this corner over here. And then, like I said, that just joins three pieces of conduit together to make that corner connection. And then we can see the last connectors are just going to be these 45-degree connectors here. So 45-degree connectors to add this cross support from one side to the other, and then a bunch of T connectors, and then it looks like two 90-degree connectors just for those two corners there, one there, and then the rest of the spots are T connectors. and that's really cool, and just a really great setup, and it kind of supports the IKEA desktops. So if we go back and look, we can see that in place, and you can get the different IKEA desktops just based on the dimensions that you need and the custom one that you want. But you can see here what's really cool about this design, because he's got those 45-degree connectors moved kind of back. You have the full amount of space underneath that you can sit under, put your legs under. Looks like the way he has his desk set up, he actually sits in the corner instead of having to do it over to the side, because you've got legs there, blocking your feet and where you want to sit. That's really cool. And he's even got the IKEA cabinets underneath the side here. So really cool, really awesome setup, and not too complicated to make. And like I said, you can customize the dimensions fully. So if you want more desk ideas, feel free to check out our other videos. I'll link some down below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those down below in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.